So, as keen observers might, I'm basically filming these all back to back because, for whatever reason, I'm in a real big fucking vlog mood here. So we will continue on while I cough and die. Definitely not from COVID though. So I just finished using the bathroom. I probably screwed up. My total time there was like 27 minutes, and I should have just waited a little bit and gotten a half an hour in, but I would still need to take a break again later, so I may as well wait it out. I only got 7 hours left to go on this trip, so it's actually not too bad, all things considered. So we'll just, we'll hammer down, fuck, this guy looks good on the camera. Grab some gears, get up to that highway speed there. Come on back. I'm just gonna turn that one down. See a little bit less of the fucking Magnet Mountain away. Fucking high side, 408's off. So where did I leave off? Probably something stupid with politics. Something I really shouldn't talk to people about. By me, but you're only doing 60 miles an hour, so that doesn't seem very smart. So I'm gonna pull a move that I hate the most. As the guy in the right lane, I'm gonna let you sit over there for a little bit while I fucking honk on him. Mostly because there's fucking 4 lanes here, so that's not so bad. But I can't remember what I was talking about. It was probably something dumb. But let's see here. Yeah, I got 7 hours to go. I'm going to probably maintain an average speed of about 68 mile an hour. I'm going to go through Cincinnati yet, so that'll probably slow me down a touch, but it's not too bad. Again, with it being Sunday, it really shouldn't be, this is 15 calories, this is fucking HT, hell yeah. It shouldn't be too bad in town, given that it's Sunday. Knock on my fake wood dash. But we'll see how it goes. Worst comes to worst, I'll just fucking cut along so I can go faster later. I finally caved, and when I had to go in to get a fuel filter change, so just as I did in the States, I got the Peterbilt dealership to open my speed limiter up to. While the Ontario and Quebec government are still enforcing it, they're doing less of it. I guess kind of now the modus operandi is to, if they catch you doing 115, they're going to pull you over for speeding, and then they're immediately going to give you a ticket for not having a speed limiter, because obviously if you're doing 115 kilometers an hour in a 100 zone, which is basically 70 in a 70, so that's 110. 70 in a 60 or 62. They're going to nail you, and then they're going to get you on, so you don't have a limiter on at that point. So I typically do about 63 mile an hour or 102 kilometers an hour for most of Ontario anyways. Since people started hearing that they weren't enforcing it so much, all of a sudden the average speed for trucks is going up to 107, 110 kilometers an hour versus the 105. So case in point, no, it didn't have his American, never mind. For some reason, Lavie I always read it as Lavie, which is a French last name, but it's Dick Lavie or Dick Lavie Trucking, right? I always assume it's a Canadian company out of Quebec, but I say a lot of Canadian companies no longer have speed limiters, or if they ever did, they're not really abiding by the speed limits anymore. So again, I've always had the cruise control wide open, and I've never gotten a speeding ticket yet, so hopefully I should be fine. Again, I'm not in a rush, right? I would like to get most of the way down there today, but even if I don't, I show up tomorrow morning. Like I said, tomorrow morning. There's no time. Just show up tomorrow morning, right? I can't remember if down there I'm in Central Time or EST, but again, it doesn't really matter. According to the Google machine, I'll get there today 7 hours from now. But I probably won't go that far because there isn't really anything. Unless I can park on the property, there's not really much I can do down there, or not many places I can go down there. So this all fucking sucks. But yeah, there'll be there's not a whole lot right there, right? So I might end up hitting a truck stop farther north of the place, like up on the interstate. But then that leaves me with like, I don't know, a 40-minute drive to my delivery, if that, and that's nothing. Like that's pretty solid. So I figure it shouldn't be too bad. Again, with it being Sunday, like, guys are kind of slow through here, but it's because we're almost in Cincinnati, so shit's gonna slow down. That's a big fucking bump. Oh no, the speed limit's 65, so these guys are just degenerates. But yeah, no, we'll probably get there. Like I said, I'll get most of the way there tonight. Just shut her down. That was the thing, right? Like it was funny. Yesterday, my parents had a barbecue, so they wanted everybody to come over. So I was initially going to leave Saturday morning regardless, and then my dad's like, well, no, you should stick around till Saturday night. That's what I'm doing. So my dad's idea was he was going to leave Saturday night and then get to fucking Georgia for Monday morning. And I was like, no, because he had to go different part of Georgia, but same thing, he had to go to Georgia, so we could run together. I was like, nah, you know what, no. I'd love to have a barbecue with the family, but you know, I know that if I leave it until the last possible minute that I think I can make it on time, I'll be late. Right? If I leave with lots of time, I'll be fine. I would rather, and again, once I'm on the road, like I typically would prefer to have like a nice easy drive, even if it means I've left, 6 hours or even a day early. I would rather have a nice easy drive down than a frantic mad dash to get there, right? It makes things far less stressful. It also means that I've got a little bit more me time on the road. Like again, for example, because I've got a fair amount of time, like last night or yesterday I set out in the truck at about 11 o'clock in the morning. So I trucked till about 6 p.m., shut down, and then just played video games. I played a spaceship sim called Elite Dangerous with my buddies for like 6 hours. We played till like midnight. Then I went to bed, woke up at 7:30, started plugging away today. So I had, I basically got 12 hours off or 13 hours off, and I've still got plenty of time, right? And that's again, I guess I lost a little bit of time I could have spent at home, but I mean, especially when I'm in the States, like the only benefit I have at home really is my home internet, right? I do not have air conditioning at my house, so it is hot as fuck, where my truck is nice and cool. And I split down here with I use my phone as a hotspot. I've got high-speed data, so it's like I played games no problem last night. Like I might end up in areas where the cell signal or the data signal isn't strong enough to really play games without constantly dropping or any of that shit. But I'm in a, for the most part, I can make it work. I had no issues last night playing games, playing Elite Dangerous. So, that's right. This is fucking frustrating now. These guys are going at different speeds. Like Dick Labby passed me earlier, but my cruise is set for 68, which is apparently slightly faster than him. Right? Speed limit, I think 68 is a nice speed through this area, because if the speed limit's 70, you're only doing 2 mile an hour under, so you're not you're not obstructing people too much. But when the speed limit drops to 65, you're only doing 3 over, so you're not really speeding enough for the DOT or local police or whatever, state police to fucking come after you. So it's kind of not a bad spot. The only downside is that you're typically not quite going fast enough to pass guys really quickly. Because I was blinker on, I was kind of trying to see if Dick was going to put his blinker on at some point, or whether he really did intend to take this exit up here, which is fine. It's another fucking interstate. So again, there's no stress and no pressure today, and I just want to get as far as I feel like getting, and then I can shut her down and play some more I keep going to Star Citizen. Like I have Star Citizen. It's an interesting game, though it is not finished. But Elite Dangerous is what I have been playing, and it's what I've played for years. Just because it is a more complete game, and really, like Star Citizen, like Elite has a couple of bugs. Like we had a couple of purple pythons which get kicked and gives you a random random error code, which of course is always like a color and one of the ship names. But Star Citizen has like all kinds of fucking problems, right? So, like if and when Star Citizen gets finished, it will probably end up being a better game than Elite, but in its current state, it's still more of a proof of concept than, you know, something really serious. So, but what was I saying here? So yeah, like it's an easy drive, it's relaxing, and then I found out afterwards that my dad himself was like, oh no, I wouldn't make that, so he moved his appointment to fucking Tuesday, but he never said anything to me about it until Saturday, well, Friday night, right? It's like, well, you fucking dick, like, I almost was gonna stick around, but if you don't think you can make it, I definitely won't make it, and you decided to change your appointment before telling me that you were gonna do it, so I never had the chance, even though I probably wouldn't have, I never had the chance to change my appointment. So it's like, well, no, now I have to fucking go, right? And again, I planned on going anyways, but like, you know, there was no way I was going to not be able to go yesterday morning. So, and again, that's fine. My dad just kind of goofed a little bit and forgot to mention that he had changed his appointment time until after it was too late for me to do the same, right? But it was frustrating because he was still encouraging me to stick around for at least lunch. He's like, I can't stay for lunch, man, I gotta go, right? And again, a lot of it is like my dad, he said my dad's been doing this for 30 years. I think a lot of it is he can keep the left door closed a lot longer than I can. But also, like, he knows his truck fairly well, and he knows like where he needs to stop for fuel. Where I get nervous when I start getting below half a tank of fuel. Like, I'm nervous now. At a quarter tank of fuel, I've run out of fuel on the Ambassador Bridge before, because there was not enough fuel in the tank for that incline. All the fuel went to the back, and the truck stalled. That sucks, because that was a almost $1,400 US fucking toll or tow bill to have a guy come out, hook to the truck, drag it over the bridge through customs into downtown Detroit and at the nearest fucking gas station, which is where his towing company gets their fuel. So I paid $1,350 US, but the gas station gave me a free drink and a soda, or a free like soda, coffee, and a snack. So they were super nice. So, but again, they must have known because I just fucked off. Like, they kind of felt bad. And the tow guy liked me because I was polite and friendly and wasn't a fucking prick. He gets a lot of guys where they get down to the border and then the driver, you know, he's made the mistake before of unhooking. The driver tries to drive away, or the driver tells him he's got to talk to his dispatcher. The dispatcher's like, we're not fucking paying for that. Nope, we're not giving you a fucking cent. And then all of a sudden he's left with either trying to beat the money out of the fucking driver, which is, you know, his company's literally throwing him under the bus, or, oh, well, I guess I told you for free, right? Which, it's Detroit. I'm pretty sure he doesn't get out of there for free. So, or he doesn't tow people for free. So, I don't think he beats up drivers or anything, but they get real fucking legal real fast, or real lawyered up real fast, and won't let the truck go until the bill is paid, right? So, and it sucked, but that was where I was like, okay, like, I don't want to go under a quarter tank of fuel because this truck's gauge doesn't. I don't think the gauge is quite accurate. It has never been. I run out of fuel. I pulled into a fuel island, and as I pushed the clutch in to roll to a stop at the fuel island, the truck stopped. So I was able to stop and get fuel. And I had my light was on, but it had only come on like maybe 10 or 15 kilometers back. So I effectively had an eighth of a tank of fuel on the gauge, and I ran out of fuel. So So again, it's not something that I try to make a habit of running that low on fuel. Again, it was easy at Royal because it was just get fuel whenever you fucking get fuel. You get paid enough to deal with it. I lost the wheel. Yeah. But at here, because budgeting your fuel is so much more important, you know, there've been more times where I'm like, I'm not going to get fuel yet. Or, you know, if I get fuel, like, I can't get that much, right? And I hate that. I absolutely fucking hate having I guess it's having to think, which makes me sound excessively lazy or stupid, but it's, truck driving is a difficult enough job. It's emotionally and mentally stressful enough as it is. Like, I don't want just the pure act of driving the truck to be a stressful experience either, right? And again, I mean, you already deal with traffic stressors and things like that, but like constantly worrying about what my fuel gauge says is also, it's one more thing that I don't want to deal with, right? I typically, again, most of the jobs I've had, it didn't really matter how much fuel I used or didn't use. I would just get fuel when I thought I needed fuel, or when if there was a fuel stop where I could get fuel and there was also a good place to get a shower or something, I would do that. Where now it's like, you gotta pay attention to which fuel stations are the cheapest right now. One state might be cheaper, like Kentucky will probably be cheaper than Ohio. So, wait until you're in Kentucky to get fuel, and I don't like doing that. Like I said, there's a lot of other stuff that you have to pay attention to as a truck driver. It is part of the job. Like, I'm not, I'm not saying that I won't or can't do that. I don't want to have to, right? I would much rather have a nicer, easier experience, because Lord knows, like this job is not the simplest job in the world. It's physically pretty easy, but again, it can be mentally and emotionally exhausting. And I'm lucky it's not often emotionally exhausting because I don't have a family and things that I'm worried about, being there for, providing for, or anything like that. But there are times where I need time away. And again, my work typically keeps me away from people, which is also why I love trucking so much, right? I can mostly choose my level of social interaction. It doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes people will inevitably come up to me and want to talk, and it is very annoying. Like, people walk up, give a little wave with a big smile on their face and want to shoot the shit. I'm immediately fucking annoyed. Or I've had it where guys will knock on my door, I'm in my fucking bunk, and they want to shoot the shit, and it's like, man, it's one thing if it's somebody I know, right? It's another if I've never met the person, they just saw my truck and like it, or want a question or need help with something. It's like, help is a little different. If I can help, I will. I'm not a piece of shit, but I've had guys that want to talk. I had one guy knock on my door when I worked for Scotland. He wanted to shoot the shit, and then he just started bragging about, I just became an owner-operator, bought that old 379 over there, got a nice big Detroit. What do you got in this? It's a PACCAR. And he just started shitting on me for having a PACCAR. And it's like, motherfucker, you knocked on my door, you interrupted what I'm fucking doing, just so you could brag about your truck and shit on mine. And I told him to fuck off. Right? It's like, but again, I talked about that in one of my previous videos, or like 2 videos ago. Like, that's truckers have that weird mentality. Like, some anyways do. Well, most guys are fairly okay, but there are some guys that have this idea where like they're protected by like it's almost like they're on the CB, but they're standing right in front of you. Like, and again, some of it might be like self-confidence, but for the most part, like actually like strong, self-confident men that I've come across don't go out of their way to make other people feel small or to brag about themselves, right? They don't need to brag. Like, what do they care? It's the same thing. I'm fairly self-confident. I don't often brag about myself, right? I like to talk about things that interest me. And don't get me wrong, there's oftentimes a fair bit of humble bragging. Like my last video there, I talked about being the center of a fucking, a lot of social groups. But I don't critique people's trucks. The same thing. I've had conversations with people where, we're shooting the shit. I drive that Cascadia. Oh, okay, I got that 389. So, oh man, fuck. They kind of start not defending their truck choice, but like kind of apologizing for their truck choice. It's like, man, their fucking truck's a truck, buddy. Like, fuck them Detroits. You got a Detroit in that thing? Yeah, I sure do. It's like, fuck, those Detroits are great fucking motors. Like, I'm not gonna shit on somebody for driving, let's say a Cascadia, like a Freightliner, because I drive a Peterbilt. Now, if they shit on me for having a Peterbilt, yeah, no, fucking all bets are off. But like, I've encountered people that are I get embarrassed isn't the right word to use, but they're how do I put it? Like, yeah, I know it's just a Freightliner. Like, they're not apologizing, but like they're immediately acknowledging that what they have isn't that great, even though again a truck's a truck. Like, there's Cascadias do the same fucking job this thing does, right? Detroit diesels are completely fine motors. They had the fucking emission shit figured out well before Cummins did, right? There's nothing wrong with those trucks. Would I buy one? Probably not, right? Because I'm at the point, like, again, as an owner-operator, like, I like driving, I like driving long hood trucks. And I'm in the market now, like, I can afford long hood trucks, right? But that doesn't mean that somebody who bought, either whether they bought an aerodynamic truck or whether they're a company guy, especially if they're a company guy, you don't get to choose what you drive as a company guy. You get what you get, right? So, yeah, there are some companies out there that give you nice trucks. Like my buddy Thomas, he's working for Kaiser Transport, and he gets a fucking 2019 389 with a fucking 300-inch wheelbase and a big bunk, right? But most companies, especially now, that's a flatbed machinery, like equipment company with some heavy hauling stuff. But most over-the-road carriers are giving guys aerodynamic trucks, and that's fine. Like, again, it's the same with the automatics. Guys will, kind of admit or get very humble about the fact that they have an automatic. It's like, man, that's all they use in Europe now. Like, it was a big deal. I think it was like 6 years ago or 5 years ago when Scania announced they were reintroducing a manual transmission as an option. Like, the Scania Opticruise automatic has been the fucking pretty much the only solution for a few years. At least in Scanias. I mean, most of the other trucks have their own version of a transmission, like the ZF, and I think is it Iveco that has their own. Like, again, they've been running automatics almost exclusively for years because trucking in Europe is less of a competitive or like social. Like trucking in North America, especially. In the kind of owner-operator spectrum is very much a competition, right? Everybody's got I backed up a mountain in a fucking blizzard. Well, I did it in a blizzard with an active volcano. Oh, I did it up the volcano in a blizzard. There was a tornado. Like, everybody's gonna one-up each other, and so one of the big aspects is having a stick on the floor. Oh fuck, I can drive an 18-yard fucking automatic. You're a fucking sissy, right? It's like, man. Half of these guys that are driving automatics, if not more, they've already done fucking 20, 30 years of driving a stick, right? Now they just want to save their fucking left knee before it's completely fucked, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the truck's a truck. I mean, like I said, I don't think. Just fucking hoping. Now let's do this. We're gonna do this. Be a bit of a dick. I don't know if that fucking becomes a full exit now or not. Or if I screwed myself and I'm not going to be able to take my exit now. Who knows? I'll fly down here in a minute. Life's a mystery. I don't think the North American automatic truck technology is quite caught up to where the European trucks are, which is part of why, like, I don't want an automatic for myself, but I don't begrudge, again, especially company drivers who don't get a choice. I don't begrudge somebody for getting an automatic. Like, it's what your company gave you. Like, what are you going to fucking do about it? Like, what do I care? First off, it's not me driving it, so it doesn't matter what you drive because it's not me, right? And again, I could say, well, I wouldn't drive that. Well, I did as a company driver. I drove Freightliners. I drove fucking Volvos. I drove fucking ProStars. And that is the only truck that I will probably, I still wouldn't say anything to anybody, but I would never fucking, I can flat out say I will never fucking voluntarily drive again as a ProStar because those things suck. The LTs, the newer international LTs, are a lot nicer. But the ProStars were just, they were fucking cheap, they were ugly inside, they fucking sucked. All around as trucks. They fucking drove like shit, they fucking ran like shit. They were just shit trucks. The LTs, again, they're much nicer, more refined interior. Lone Stars, they're nice trucks. I'm kind of colored poorly on international now, but again, I don't judge somebody else for having one because they have their reasons, whether it's because the company gave it to them or because they bought it. It doesn't matter, right? So again, it's the same. The guys. Like I get into kind of little mini arguments with my buddy, who's also my coworker, because if it ain't a cat, it's a dog. Now his current truck has a PACCAR, though he's looking at taking over a 379 with a cat in it. That's great, but again, buying a cat isn't easy. Like buying a truck with a cat isn't the easiest thing to do anymore. you're either buying a used truck, and after owning a new truck, I don't want to buy somebody else's truck. Or you're trying to get on the build list and shelling out, you know, upwards of $50,000 to $60,000 more than, say, this truck for a glider. Just to have, you know, the EPA fucking rape your ass all the fucking time and not be allowed in California. And again, like, I would love to have a 389 or a W9 with a fucking 34/6 cat or 36/4. I can never remember. I always fucking mix the numbers up. Like a single turbo cat, and, you know, just straight pipe it and live the fucking dream. But that's difficult to be feasible now. So I ordered a 389 with an X15 Cummins, and again, the motor's been fine. The motor hasn't given me any issues. Right? Knock on my fake wood. But, you know, again, well, I would never buy something one of that fucking shit. Well, guess what? You're fucking gonna eventually. Because at some point, the EPA is gonna finally put their foot down and say, nope, you can't own one of those trucks. You cannot, if you do not have an emissions truck, you cannot own the truck. Or the truck cannot be plated and be on the road. Right? They did it in California with guys, they'll do it again. It's eventually, because they're pushing so hard into it, eventually they will finally say, okay, you guys have had enough time, either have a fucking emissions compliant truck or get off the roads. Right? And I'm fairly confident it will happen eventually. Right? So, again, you either get with the times, whether you like it or not is kind of irrelevant. If you want to maintain, if you want to continue being an owner-operator, you kind of have to play by the rules, even if you don't like the rules. The fucking 2 right lanes are fucking closed, really? Oh, fucking shit. Welcome to Kentucky. Just across this river is Kentucky. Right, so you either, you know, like I said, play by the rules, or you're gonna need to fucking do something, because this fucking right lane closes here too, buddy. Hurry the fuck up, let's go, let's fuck. You are a fucking pal. But he moved into the far left lane instead of just leaving me in the fucking right. But yeah, you're kind of, you know, you end up in a situation where you're gonna have to comply or abandon the industry, because the industry won't allow you. Okay, now this is fun. This is gonna be fun. Fucking CFI just fucking booting it next to me. The right side, right lane ends here. If you think I'm gonna fucking slam on the brakes to let you in, you're out to fucking lunch, buddy. Or is he taking the exit? No, he's slowing down. Fucking ding-dongs. Like, that kind of driving is where the stupidity, or where the perceived stupidity lies, right? There were multiple signs. They'll show up on the video. There were multiple signs. The 2 right lanes were closed. It even gave distance, right? The last one, I think, was 1,500 feet. It's like, so you know the right lane ends, right? So you see that all traffic is moving into the left 2 lanes. And you start trying to pass people in the right lane before it ends. And then, well, lo and behold, you have to fucking hit the brakes and get behind the truck, right? Like, you know, and like I said, there's some people have the mindset, like, they'll push you into a situation where, you know, it's either you slow down and let me in, or we're gonna have an accident, and they count on you to slow down. But then there's also people that they don't fucking think. Like, they just don't. They see the sign and they don't, you know, they read it, but it doesn't register, so they don't really pay attention to the fact that, well, fuck, the 2 right lanes closed here, about 1,450 feet. Like, maybe you should fucking get in one of the 2 left lanes, like I did. Like, as soon as I saw the signs, I started working my way over. Right? And yeah, you could argue the zipper method or whatever, but that doesn't work in a fucking highway with a posted speed limit of 65 mile an hour. You know, so again, I typically try to, if I see a sign stating that, you know, the lane I'm in closes up ahead, like if it says lane closes, like lanes closed like 5 miles ahead, I'm not going to immediately jump to the left. But once you get the sign that says it closes a mile ahead, I start working my way into the left lane, right? You know, kind of the exception, if I'm in the right lane and the left lane closes, I just keep doing my thing, because some people will fly up and around me, some people will slow down, one person might try to fucking play games, and they're just going to end up in the fucking cones. You know, again, it's not my job to move for you. If you want my lane, it's your job to work your way into it, right? Again, it's an issue we've had in Canada, right? We have a large population of Indian truck drivers, and in India, I think there's several countries that are like this too. I thought it was an unwritten rule. Apparently, it is an official rule of the roads that a vehicle in front has the right of way. And I had this explained to me again by my Indian boss last weekend. That when in India, like if a car starts passing another car, once the passing vehicle gets ahead of the other vehicle, even a little bit, he doesn't have to be all the way in front, but as soon as his bumper is in front of the other guy's bumper, he has right of way. So if he wants back in the right lane, you have to give it to him. So I've seen a lot of times where, and again, my buddy, who's his son and therefore Indian himself, didn't realize. Like, we've noticed it a lot of times, like, we'll be passing a guy and he's stroking on it, he's, not slowing down, and then as soon as we get ahead of him, all of a sudden he fucking disappears. And I guess it is, like I said, it's an Indian driving, I guess over here it becomes a habit, but over there it's actually one of the rules of the road, is whoever is in front has right of way. And the problem is North America doesn't recognize that law, right? In North America, you have control of your lane and your space. So if a vehicle starts to pass me and gets his bumper ahead of me and puts his right blinker on, I don't have to slow down for him. It's his job to continue accelerating until he is clear to enter, or slow down and enter the lane behind me, right? It is not my job to give them the lane. And that causes a lot of friction, because I've had many times where trucks have started passing me and they put their blinker on, and then either they start blaring their horn and looking at me, or they start to move into the lane anyways, and then you're playing fucking games. Or usually the most common one is they started passing when the signs pop up that the right lane ends, so they know that I gotta fucking slow down or I'm gonna be on the fucking shoulder, right? So they count on me having to slow down to give them the lane. None of those are right, at least not in North America. And again, in India, it's typically like the person who's getting past, because it's so common, and especially because it sounds like it's a rule, they just give it up. Nobody's like, there's no, like, road rage events happen in India, sure. I've seen video footage of guys beating each other up, but like, it's not over that, you acquiesce right away. It's just, nobody thinks anything of it. You just give it up. We're here, that's not how it works. So when somebody tries to take right of way that way, me as somebody that was born and raised in North America and abides by North American driving rules, gets very, very fucking angry very fast that somebody would dare to fucking try to run me off the road, because they want back in my lane before they've cleared my vehicle, right? And that's been something that a large portion of the Indian truck driving population hasn't quite clued in on, and somehow, he said, my boss is Indian. He moved here in the late 70s, and he adapted to how driving in Canada works, right? He takes it easy, he doesn't get too stressed out, right? He does about 68 mile an hour everywhere he goes, which is basically what I do, and he understands how the rules of the lanes work and all that shit. But a lot of guys who recently come to Canada from India are driving like they did in India. And again, for a lot of people, it's no different than when Americans go to different countries, and don't realize that they're not in America anymore, and American laws don't apply. A lot of guys come to Canada and will still think that, because the Indian rule traffic laws are all they've ever known, that's what's here, and that's not how that works, right? And again, there's no way to educate them of that when they're attempting to merge into your lane at fucking 65 mile an hour. Most guys, most truck drivers in general either don't have a CV anymore or don't use it. So, it's almost a guarantee that they're not on the CV radio. Because again, in their eyes, you're being the dickhead, because all they've ever known is, well, he should be giving me right away right now. I'm in front, I have right away, right? So, there isn't a whole lot of knowledge, because that's not a rule that is particularly touched on in, at least when I did any of my driving education, both commercially and in a car. It didn't really touch on, who has right of way when you're passing somebody, because the idea, again, it's always just kind of established and kind of common knowledge that when you're passing somebody, you're going to clear the vehicle before you try to get back in that lane, right? It's fairly common knowledge. But I guess in India it isn't. So, you know, and it's probably a few other countries do the same thing. I think a couple of like Eastern European countries are the same way. So it again, there's a source of friction between guys because people are driving by different rules of the road. I imagine Europe, like the EU, probably has lots of issues with it because there's so many. You can, you know, pretty much freely drive through countries like you drive through states down here. But where the U.S. effectively all has like a federal adopted like rule set for like bylaws for roads. You know, different countries have different rules of the road, right? Now luckily, I think pretty much every landlocked European country drives on the right and steers on the left. So there's never really any issues with switching sides of the road to drive on, right? Because I think the UK is effectively the only, even though they're, I guess, not really the EU anymore, they're more or less the only European country that still drives on the left, but they're an island. So you go on a boat and you get off and everything's already switched. So you're not trying to switch midway through kind of thing. You know, like one of the bigger ones is like China and Hong Kong. Right? Mainland China drives on the right and steers on the left, and Hong Kong still has holdover from British rule for some reason. And for some reason, the city of Hong Kong drives on the left and steers on the right. So again, it's a weird when you go from one side of like go across a bridge. It's there's got to be a strategy because you're starting across the bridge. You know, if you're going from Hong Kong to China, you're starting across the bridge on the left side of the road, and before you get to the other side, you got to be on the right side of the road. So, like one of the concepts that was pulled up, which didn't actually get used, and I can't remember what they actually used, was a bridge that kind of did almost like a figure eight. So you'd start on the left, and then you would the road would dip underneath the other road, you'd curve to the right, and then it would straighten out, and you'd be on the right side of the road when you come out in China. And then the same thing going the other way. You'd start out on the right, and the road would go over top of the other road, and over to the left, and you come out on the left in Hong Kong. And it wasn't used, and I think it was basically abandoned in favor of shove everybody into one fucking space, and cause a big fucking traffic shit show because China didn't want to spend money. But it could be wrong. There could be something else there that works. I don't know. I remember seeing photos of fucking cars trying to fucking switch lanes. I mean, there are like in Asian countries, there are like landlocked countries that have weird driving rules. Burma is always the one that makes me laugh. And I learned this from Top Gear. Though I've double checked to make sure that they weren't just blowing smoke. Burma, again, originally was Myanmar, which was a British colony. So originally Burma drove on the left, and steered on the right. At some point after Burma became independent and became Burma, a political leader at the time decided that the country was too far left-leaning politically. So he solved that by forcing the country to drive on the right side of the road. The laws were changed almost overnight. So 90% of the vehicles in Burma are right-hand drive. But all vehicles drive on the right side of the road. So most of the traffic in Burma drives on the shoulder rather than on the center line, which makes passing like incredibly difficult and dangerous, especially again because it's a Southeast Asian country that has very lax traffic laws and like very high, like a massive disparity between vehicles. You can have guys driving in modern import sedans, and then guys on a fucking donkey cart with 30 people piled on top. Like there's no, in North America, like, every car on the road is a car. Like they're all more or less capable of doing the same thing, which are at least doing highway speed, where, you've got modern luxury vehicles and fucking donkey carts rolling around. So, passing in, like, again, a lot of vehicles are worn out and destroyed. So, like, a lot of, like, again, if you watch the Top Gear, it was like some of the last episodes, it was a 3-part series where they had to The three of them got little straight trucks, and had to drive to the River Kwai and build a bridge over the River Kwai. And that was like some of the experiences they went through. Like, a lot of vehicles drive around with no headlights on at night because they don't have high beams and low beams anymore. They've got a fucking spotlight rigged up and no headlights, so you're either driving no beam or fucking full beam. So they'll full beam you if you're coming at them, but typically don't drive with their high beams on, or with headlights on, so it's hard to see when there's cars coming at you at night for when you pass, which is already hard enough because you got to try to look over the out the passenger side of the vehicle to see over the center line to see if there's anybody coming. And again, I think most of the rest of the countries around still either drive on the left or drive on the right with right-hand drive vehicles. So it gets very confusing to do the switch. I think one, if I remember right, was Sweden or Switzerland. I always mix the two up. I know Sweden is in the Scandinavian Peninsula and Switzerland's in the Alps. I can never remember which one did which. I think it might have been Switzerland. They originally drove on the left, and I guess they decided overnight, like they picked a date and they picked a time, and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. Everybody had to drive on the right. So they went out and changed all the signs around at night all throughout the fucking country. And then everybody drove on the left. And then at 10 o'clock, everyone had to stop and all work and switch to the right side of the road. And that's where they drove from then on out. Like, it was just, again, now that, if it was Switzerland, well, both Switzerland and Sweden, the makeup of the country and, the people there, everybody just worked together and switched. Like, everybody probably thought it was fucking fun. Where, if it was American, they'd hell no, I'm going to keep driving on my right side. If you drive on the left, I'm going to hit you. Right? Like, but there are kind of some, like, weird quirks that way with the way people drive. And again, the different countries. So it's the same thing. I think India drives, well, I don't know actually if India drives on the left or drives on the right. I should Google it, because again, India used to be a British colony, but a large percent of the world after Britain stopped owning them switched to driving on the right. So I can't remember what India does. I think they drive on the left still. But either way, like I said, there's some big differences in driving rules for people coming from, again, like Southeast Asian countries, especially, to North America. But they don't always, again, they don't always understand that there is a difference, because most of the rules seem fairly similar. It's just little ones, like I said, the right of way, like who in front has right of way type of thing, that are different. So again, that causes a lot of friction sometimes. The guy, he doesn't realize that you don't have to give him right of way, and you're sitting there thinking he's being a piece of shit trying to run you off the road. So you're both fucking mad at each other, right? And again, a lot of times the logic is, oh, fuck you, I had right of way. And it's like, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did. And again, how do you argue that? Well, yeah, I did. No, you didn't. You can say all the reasons why you didn't. Nope, I did. It's like, well, fuck, okay. I mean, just because you say so, right? And that's the problem for a lot of people. Like, whether they could come up with a compelling argument or not, they just default to, no, it's that way because I said it is. I had a guy, I think I've talked about this before. I was making a right turn, and it was an intersection, so there were 2 right turn lanes and 2 left turn lanes. Because of the way the right turn is, I would not be able to make the right turn from the right turn lane. However, if I made it from the leftmost, like the rightmost right turn lane, if I make it from the leftmost right turn lane, there's enough space that a car might attempt to squeeze in the rightmost right turn lane and possibly get pinned by my truck. So most guys straddle both of the right turn lanes, so that no traffic, like everyone ends up having to go behind them around the corner. And I started making the turn, and a guy comes flying past me. He's straddling the leftmost right turn lane, so he's half in a lane that I'm half in, and partway in the rightmost left turn lane. And he tries to make a right around me. And I take the intersection wide because I have to. And he ends up having to screech to a fucking halt because he's going to get run into the fucking center median. And I come to a stop and I look at him and he gives me the finger, and that was it. I was fucking done. I usually, especially when it's Indian guys, they kind of just have a stupid look on their face because, I don't know, they don't know what's going on. This guy started yelling at me and giving me the finger. I got into the fucking truck and I started fucking screaming at him. I said, what are you fucking doing? What the fuck are you doing? Fucking taking a right turn, but you're in the fucking left turn lane. no, I'm in the right turn lane. I said, you can't be in the right turn lane because I was in the fucking right turn lane. No, fuck you, I'm in the right turn lane. Like, dude, I'm in both the right turn lanes. Well, you can't do that. I said, you can't make a right turn from the left turn lane. I wasn't in the left turn lane. And again, it's like, okay, you know, do I gotta pull up a fucking video from the fucking intersection to see where you were? Right? And it was fuck you, I'll do what I want. I said, get the fuck out of the truck. He said, no. So I turned and ripped his fucking hood mirror off. And then he started to get out of the truck, and I ran back to the door, and he shut the door and stayed in his truck. Said he was going to call the cops. I said, don't make a fucking right turn from the left turn lane. Fuck you, I was in the right turn lane. I said, you see where my trailer is? You see where my truck is? What fucking lane do you think I came out of? The answer was, fuck you. Okay, you're a fucking piece of shit. Call the fucking cops. Go ahead. Call the fucking cops. Let's go. I said, no, I'm not going to call the cops. Well, just go. I said, okay, yeah, that's right. Because you realize that you fucking fucked up, and now you got no legal defense or legal, like, ground to stand on. You were, what it was, because I saw afterwards, he immediately went to the fucking right lane and made the next right. So what he did, and when I say the next right, we're talking like it's a distance of like 400, 500 feet, right? So what he did was he wanted to come around me in the rightmost left turn lane. Fuck, I should have stopped at that flag J. Blocked me off, so I got to slam on the brakes in the middle of the corner. So then I'm blocking all of the right turning traffic so that he can make his right around me and have no traffic in what are now his two right lanes, so that he can go immediately from the far left lane to the far right lane and make the next right turn. Right? His whole strategy for making that corner was forcing me to slam on the brakes in the middle of a turn with a load of liquid on, so that it would block all the other traffic so he could do whatever he wanted. Right? And that's, you know, there's absolutely no point where I've ever regretted fucking ripping his fucking hood mirror off, because I wanted to fucking kill that guy. And, like, I wouldn't have regretted if he'd gotten out of the truck and I'd beaten the shit out of him, because he fucking deserved it for that attitude, that behavior. And again, it was, and I hate to sound like, again, especially with the way things are in the world right now, especially North America, like, it makes me sound racist, and I hate that it does, and I understand why it looks like it does. But I have a hard time liking Indian truck drivers, right? I have no problem with Indian people, right? Again, I work for an Indian union. But the truck driving mentality has kind of fallen into, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, you fucking get out of my way, right? And like I said, I've had guys fucking blow through the duty freeze, trying to fucking pass me in the bridge going into the U.S. All kinds of other shit. And it's like, again, in India, yeah, the guys drive on the fucking sidewalks to get around people. Like, nobody fucking cares. But here, there's rules. And the problem is there's not enough law enforcement, like, to enforce those rules, especially in the areas where those rules are being broken. But, you know, that's where it kind of lies, is that those rules, you know, are there for a reason, right? Whether you had them in your country or not, or whether you agree with them or not, is kind of irrelevant, right? If you try to make a right turn from a left turn lane, and you're mad and surprised that the truck making the right turn from the right turn lane is in your fucking way, it's not me. It's not the guy who's doing the right, like in the right turn lane's fault that you're fucking stuck there. It's yours for trying to fuck everybody in that intersection over, so that you would have an advantage coming out of that right turn, right? Like if you're gonna make an immediate right, like because I was gonna make an immediate left. That's also part of why I'm in both right turn lanes, because I know that I'm gonna end up in the left turn lane, right? So obviously I'm not gonna make a right turn from the left turn lane, so I make it from, you know, again, I straddle the lanes because I don't want somebody to get hurt when I try to squeeze around it. But he had to make an immediate right, and he does it from the left turn lane. Like, again, you're going, even if we both got around the corner, he's in the far left, and I'm next to him, and I gotta go left, and he's gotta go right. He's not guaranteed, he's not going to let me get in front of him to make my left. He's going to expect me to slow down and let him get in front of me to make his right. Or he would just start going over and push me out of the way, right? And that's, again, that's the problem. And I've seen this reflected a couple times, people on like Facebook and stuff, like, you know, if I put my left blinker on, I'm coming in that lane. You can let me merge or we can crash if you want. It's up to you. It's like, no, that's not how that works. If I put my left blinker on, that does not give me a free pass to just drive in the left lane, right? Now there gets to be a point where if nobody lets me in, I'll start pushing my way in that lane. If I need to get in that lane, like if I just want to be there for whatever reason, it's one thing. But if the lane, like if the right lane ends, or there's a car on the shoulder, or the lane's blocked for some reason, eventually I will say, fuck it, I'm getting into this lane, right? And I'll start pushing my way into the lane. And I've had people who are not happy about it, right? I've had people give me the finger or blare their horn at me. Fucking, I haven't really had anybody brake check me for that, especially once you get to the point where they can see that I needed to get in that lane. But, there is still, there's still a degree of patience required. And again, a lot of people are like, well, your car costs $100,000. My car cost me $500. We'll crash and see what happens. It's like, again, that's not the right mentality. Oh, I'm just gonna fucking go, and if you don't like it, well, fucking either get out of the way or fucking lose your $100,000 car. Right? That isn't the correct mindset, because we're all supposed to be working together on the road. Right? Like, again, like I usually, and I've missed stuff too. I mean, everybody fucks things up, but like I usually make an effort to, like, if I'm, if I'm in the middle lane, for example, and like a truck comes up behind me, I'll get in the right lane, right? Even if I don't want to be in the right lane because there's lots of cars merging or something. First off, I don't want them to pass me on the right. Right, that gets a little dangerous. Usually the far left lane is illegal for trucks to be in. So, you don't want to fucking force the guy to go in the far left lane. So I'll move over for a bit, let him around, and then if I still need to be in the middle lane for whatever reason, I'll get back in the middle lane. But a lot of guys, and again, we get it in Toronto, they get on the highway, middle lane, they sit there. That's where they go. Cars will pass them on both sides. And I'm not usually worried about cars, because cars are, again, they can gain and lose speed much faster than trucks. So, they're far more maneuverable, right? So they'll do their thing for the most part, like I said, unless it's like, somebody's merging on the highway and there's no traffic and I'm in the right lane, I'll grab the middle or left, because, then I am basically just being a dick. But, if traffic's busy, like it is fairly right now, there's cars next to me. If a car was coming down a ramp and, like, again, they don't make the effort to try to get into this lane, in front or behind me, like, I'm not going to fucking slam on the brakes or run the guy in the middle of the lane off the fucking road to let somebody merge. It's their job to find a way to get in, right? And a lot of people, well, why didn't you fucking slow down or speed up? It's like, again, I've had it before where cars coming on, I slow down, well, they slow down. Well, then at that point, I already started slowing down, so I'm not going to speed up again. And this guy's going to fucking pull in front of me. Of course it is. So again, because then you're playing the, almost like when you fucking, you walk up to somebody and you go left and he goes his right, which is your left, and you end up kind of almost dancing, trying to work our way around each other. The same thing ends up happening, right? I slow down, he slows down, I speed up, then he speeds up, because we're following each other's decisions. If I just stay at my speed, the onus is on the guy merging. He can speed up or he can slow down, but that way I'm not changing my speeds, and all he's got to do is look at what I'm doing and worry about what he's got to do to work with it, not constantly fucking around with shit. So that's all. There's a lot of people on the shoulder today. I think a bunch of people must have hit that fucking deer. And again, sometimes people's reactions are like, it's a lot of times it's random. Like, my dad says, like, oh, trucking, being out there is nowhere near as dangerous. But like I said, I've come across people where, they brake checked me or tried to run me off the road, and I have no idea what the fuck they're mad about. Right? I don't know. I don't know, like, did they fucking try to merge and I didn't let them in? But, we haven't been past an on-ramp in fucking, 4 miles. Are they mad that I'm going too slow? Do they just dislike, like, they hate truckers? Right? The same thing, like the car that was on the shoulder there that I blew by, he was going to come out in front of me and then he stopped. Well, is he, again, I get the impression because he's still way back there and then he's just like, whatever. But some people look at it and say, okay, no, fuck, there's trucks, again, to look at the situation, well, his car's to his left, he can't move, he can't slow down that fucking fast, well, wait. But then there's other guys, like, how fucking dare you? I had to fucking sit on the shoulder longer and they're going to fucking retaliate. Like, again, most people typically understand traffic situations. Again, most people that merge, even if they end up hitting the shoulder, they understand, especially once they get in behind me, for example, they can see all the cars to my left, so they know that I can't go anywhere, right? And they'll just deal with it. But some guys will still, again, how dare I have the audacity to not slam on the brakes so that they can merge, right? And again, it's that a lot of it, again, is American ignorance. Well, I'm more important than you, so you let me in. And a lot of it is just a failure to understand how merging rules and how the laws of the road work in North America. If you're merging onto the interstate, it's your job to get on the interstate. It's not anyone on the interstate's job to let you in. Again, lots of people do let you in, and that's an act of generosity, and that's it. But, for a lot of people, they don't have to let you in. And again, I will usually let people in unless I can't physically move over, right? If there's cars to my left, I'm not running people off the road or risk causing a big accident just to fucking let you merge ahead of me or next to me. Speed up a little bit or slow down and get around, right? I mean, it gets a little different with trucks because they can't speed up or slow down as easily, but again, because trucks usually come on the road so slow and you can see it from so far away, you can typically kind of, move over well in advance. But again, I think the car just got back in front of me there because the guy was on the shoulder and just took it off. Again, most guys realize that there's not much I could do in that situation, so they just, okay, fuck it, right? And some guys just immediately assume that I'm trying to fuck with them, right? Which is the biggest one I get is when people are trying to merge and I can't or won't move over. And it's usually because I can't, right? I get the odd time, if I'm climbing a fucking hill and I'm going slow and there's cars coming up behind me, I'm not moving into the left lane because those cars are then going to start coming around me on the right, and I'm going to be stuck with my four ways on, climbing a hill in the left lane, and eventually the cops are going to, if the DOT sees it, they're going to fucking pull me over and ask me what the fuck I'm doing. So I'll stay in the right lane. Again, if I've got my four ways on, I'm going slow enough, there's absolutely no reason why you and your fucking, Lexus, whatever fucking number you want to call it, can't fucking pass me or can't merge in front of me, right? There's no way. So figure it out, put your big boy pants on, hit that skinny pedal a little harder and get in front, or slow down and get behind. If you really don't want to risk fucking flooring it or going faster, slow down and go behind, and then go in the left lane and go around it. So like I said, I've had a few instances. I've had, and again, there's weird levels of aggression with people. I've had one guy that he fucking flew in the left lane, flew around, he got right in front of me, just about locked it up. He was ready to fucking die. And I've had one, it was a younger couple, and he got out, he got in the left lane, his wife gave me the finger, and he got ahead, he got in the right lane, and then he kind of gradually slowed down. I was like, okay. He did, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 miles an hour slower than me. So when I went to go around him, he got in the left lane and just kept kind of slowing down. So it was same thing. It's equally as frustrating because he's almost more so because he's not he's not ready to die. He just really wants to fucking inconvenience me. He's mad that at that one I could not move over. There was traffic to my left, and he's not brake checking me because he doesn't want to get into an accident. But he knows if he just stays in front of me and kind of drives slower than I'm going, he's inconveniencing me and making me, possibly making me late for my delivery. So again, at the time, my truck was a 105, I couldn't go faster. Where now I just fucking hit the gas pedal, and if he doesn't like it, I'm gonna push him. Right? I've contemplated getting a bull bar on front of my truck because I don't want to damage my hood or grill, but I'm also kind of, getting to the point, if people want to fuck with me that much, then I'm gonna hit them. I'm not, I'm not gonna fucking, especially because nowadays, you call the cops, well, this guy's doing this, and 9 times out of 10, it's, well, then stop. We can't get to your location unless you stop. It's I'm not stopping. Because then it's not a fucking road rage accident, it's a fucking fist fight and or a gunfight, and the guy's a fucking real nutcase. I don't want to deal with that. At least while we're in our vehicles, I'm bigger and stronger, right, in my truck. Right? So if it comes to blows, I'll fucking kill him and his whole fucking family way before he could ever do any damage to me in my truck. Again, I don't want to, but I'm also going to put my life ahead of everyone else's. I don't care. My life is my life. If you're the one that's fucking with me, you're the one that has decided that your life isn't worth it as much as you've decided that my life isn't worth it, right? So, I mean, I don't, again, if it's, and it's usually pretty easy to tell if somebody's done something because it's an accident or because they're really trying to fuck with you. Like the person now passing me in the right lane because I moved to the left for that truck. And he's a fucking ding dong, but he just doesn't fucking know any better. He's also getting off the exit, so that's not so bad. You know, but again, like it's been a while since I've had anybody like really maliciously try to fucking fuck with me. But like I said, I mean, again, it's one of those weird ones. Like, I'm not like most truck drivers, right? Like, if you know, I never came across any BLM protests or anything like that. But I'm not going to run through a protest. You know, there are a lot of truck drivers. Fuck those guys. You know, they shouldn't be in the roads. I'll fucking run them all over. Now, you go to jail. You run them over, right? Again, it's absolutely like if I come to a stop and they, you know, try to drag me out of the truck, and if I have not done anything to fucking instigate anything, but they start trying to destroy my equipment and hurt me, yes, then at that point I'm gonna put her in gear and fucking go. But again, they're the ones that have initiated violence. I'm going to respond to it by protecting my life. I'm not going to use protesters as a chance to run people over and tell myself I'm justified in doing so, right? And again, I didn't, a lot of guys said, oh, fucking, I'll run them over. I've not come across a single BLM protest. Not in the roads, not in the interstates, right? And like I said, I haven't gone through like Milwaukee or anything in a long while, but like, or Milwaukee, fucking Minneapolis, or anything like that. But I've gone through like some major cities, and I haven't come across protests in the interstate, so, you know, I haven't had to deal with it. I think a lot of guys, again, it's trying to tell the rest of the world on the internet how fucking tough they are. I wouldn't stop for nobody. It's like, you're never gonna have to. Like, the situation hasn't come up, right? And like, don't get me wrong, there are fuckheads out there that are doing shit like throwing fucking rocks off of bridges and shit. And I get that, and like, those guys are pieces of shit. But most of the protests are peaceful protests. And it's like, and he said, if there's a peaceful protest in the interstate, I'm gonna stop the truck. I'm gonna shut the truck off. I'm not gonna go in there and fucking scream at them, because first off, it's not gonna make them move. It's gonna make them fucking fuck with me. Secondly, because I actually agree with most of the BLM movement, at least the peaceful protest aspect of it. And I realize that can sound like hypocritical. My point is that the actual BLM movement is peaceful protests, and there are rioters and looters that are fucking, why is it? It's doing it again. It's making me have to fucking delete files on this fucking thing. It's supposed to be like deleting shit as I go, and not, you know, filling up the fucking inventory and then requiring me to manually delete everything. It's being fucking weird. Right, like there's a large percentage of guys that are just anarchists that are using it as a cover to loot and destroy things, and that's, you know, that's a problem, right? I think that most of the BLM protests have been attempted to be peaceful. And again, it's the argument, like, not all cops are bad. I absolutely know that. I've had nothing but good experiences with police. I'm friends with several, right? But not every protester is a fucking rioter or a looter. Again, I know several protesters, and it's all peaceful protests, right? They're going out peacefully protesting. And again, both sides like to say, well, the other side's all they're doing is the bad stuff. It's like, no, right? Both sides need to come together and kind of work towards building a kind of a better understanding or a better way of interacting with each other. But again, like, if I were to come up to a protest, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn the truck off. And again, you have to try to judge how the protest is. If they're, well, you know, there have been ones where they're marching. There's been ones where they're just all taking a knee in the interstate. Okay, sit there. Like, what am I going to fucking do? Like, run them over? No. Again, like, my fucking load, I can show up late. What are they going to do? Be mad? No, fuck, man. I have a choice between showing up here on time and running people over, or fucking sitting out a protest. If they don't like it, well, fuck them. I'll take the load somewhere else. They can go suck my dick, right? I'm not killing people for this freight. I will, if my life is in danger, things get different, but there's no part of anything I haul that is worth more than a human life, right? especially a peaceful move. Like I said, if people start attacking me or my equipment, then yeah, things are going to change, because I am going to defend myself or protect my life. But if there's a peaceful protest, I'm not going to fucking start trying to drive into it or walk up and scream at them all. Like, first off, it's not going to get them to move. Secondly, it might draw the ire of people who are less inclined to peace, but are, until that point being peaceful. And then I'm drawing unwanted attention to myself. So, for a while I said, well, fuck, I'll go out and I'll take a knee. But odds are, if I come across a protest, I'm going to be so far back from the protest line that it won't matter what I do. I just have to wait it out. Because again, eventually either A, the cops are going to come and move them, or B, they're going to move themselves. And if they don't, I got a fucking bed in the truck. I'll turn myself off duty and go take a fucking nap. Like, or sit there on my phone and film it, or go and talk to people. Like, that's the other thing. Go out and fucking socialize and figure out, like, talk to them about what's going on. Because again, most of the people that are peacefully protesting, they absolutely want to talk about what they're doing. And again, you get situations where you talk to them, they like you, they might say, you know what, yeah, okay, we'll move and let you through. You're a good dude, right? I've never had that specific instance, but I've had plenty of situations where, because I've been polite and friendly, like, I've been moved to the front of the line, or I've gone past other people, like, especially loading and unloading scenarios, driving a truck. I've been, moved ahead of the line because I'm polite and friendly, and, I don't, if you say, like, well, we're, things are running behind today, I don't start getting fucking angry, I got this much time, better hurry up. It's like, okay, well, I was just worried about making sure I got here on time, now I'm here, it's whatever. Like, the worst I'll ever say is, like, if I have to, I'm gonna have to spend the night. Like, if you got nowhere to park, then I'm gonna have to leave now and come back in the morning, right? And that's it. Like, I've never had to do that. I've only ever been to 2 places that will not allow the trucks to stay there overnight. And I mean, the first time I was out of hours, but there was a truck stop that seems to never fill up. It was only like 2 minutes from where I was, so that was fine. But again, it's one of those things where I had the option to schedule it the next day, and I thought for sure I'd have no problem getting there and getting out again. But it was my first time hauling that particular type of freight, so it took me a lot longer to secure it than I thought it would. But it's not produce, right? I'm not in a situation where they've got a lock on my trailer and I can't fucking move until they let me. Like, if I show up at a place to load and, I've got 4 hours left on my clock and 3.5 hours into it, they're like, yeah, we're not going to get, you're going to be a couple more hours, but you can't spend the night. Okay, man, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave and come back in the morning. Sometimes they're like, well, that's a problem. It's like, man, I don't have the hours. I can't stick around. I was here on time. It's no hard feelings. I just have to come back tomorrow. It's just the way it is. Like, I got enough time right now to go to the nearby truck stop, and that's the best I can do, right? Because again, most shippers and receivers don't really understand our hours of service rules, and the other one is doing things like getting to a truck stop before it's full. Again, I know a couple of places that I can show up to at almost any time at night, and there'll be a spot, like the place that I loaded that I just described. But 9 times out of 10, especially during the week, after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts getting dicey to find parking in your desired area, like your desired truck stop. And it gets far more stressful if you're out of hours, right? So I typically, again, at that point, I've never had to do it. Like, I've never run out of hours somewhere aside from that one time. And again, I knew, like, there was a truck stop like 2 minutes away. I've never run out of hours in a place where I couldn't spend the night. There's been places where, like, there really isn't anywhere to park, so I'm gonna, like, have to stick myself on the side of the lot somewhere or something and hope I'm out of the way. But when I've asked, like, yeah, no, if you got it, man, just park there, and if we need you to move, we'll knock on your door. It's like, okay, but I just need to make sure that I'm polite. If they wake me up, so sorry, man, we gotta move you. We need you to back up 20 feet. Well, you know what I mean? And again, I've never really been bothered. I think there are. I've delivered to a few places where you can't stay the night there, but they never said anything because it's just applied because there's literally no fucking room for trucks. But again, it's never been a situation where with scheduling and timing. Again, doing what I do, I can oftentimes make my own schedule and reschedule at will. For the most part, I haul steel. Steel isn't so essential that like somebody's desperate for it right this second. And there's typically no time constraints. Like steel doesn't go bad, right? Steel doesn't spoil. Produce does. Produce is a much more time sensitive game. Things like medicines and stuff are more time sensitive. Excuse me, I need a drink. Steel is steel. It's just going to sit there. It's going to sit there where it's delivered for fucking probably several weeks to several months anyways. So it's not a big deal. Lots of guys, again, they'll like people will fucking huff and puff over it. But again, it's a lot of guys that are, a lot of times it's not the guy loading or unloading you. It's the guy that schedules trucks, right? Because for them, it's always a major inconvenience if somebody shows up late, even though it's usually not. I had one place where I loaded drywall. The load didn't pay that well, which is usually the case with, like, loads that don't pay very well, usually you don't have a good experience with. It's kind of a weird correlation, but the more money a load pays, the better the experience is, right? Like, the load I'm hauling right now is one of the better paying loads we have. And I don't know, I haven't delivered here, but the shipping crew is fucking wonderful. They were super nice, super easy to work with, and the load is super straightforward, right? And it pays really well. This drywall, again, it wasn't bad. Like, again, I go in. That was where what I was thinking of when I was talking about how I was nice and got ahead of the line. I showed up. I didn't have an appointment time. It was kind of first come, first serve. And I'm talking to security. Like, oh, there's a bit of a wait. It's like, okay, and there's trucks just fucking parked everywhere waiting to get in. And she makes, we're gossiping a little bit. And she makes a phone call. And she comes back. She's like, okay, I got good news and I got bad news. Okay, the bad news is like you're still going to be waiting in line. It's like the good news is they do want you in the line. So you're not going to park in any of the spots. You're going to go right to the back and loop around in line. If there's no trucks there, you go into this bay, right? Because it's just one line, and the trucks go through into the building. They load you, and then you pull out and secure your freight. She's like, if there's a couple trucks, you'll have to wait behind them. If not, pull right in. So she did still push me ahead of everybody that was parked waiting to load. So I get in there, I load, and because I'm waiting in line, it was about 4.5, 5 hours to load. The dispatch was scheduled, not like, how do I put this? Because I don't want to shit on my dispatchers. They try their best. The load was scheduled to load at like 5 p.m. and it delivered at like 9 a.m. the next morning. But I delivered like 4 or 5 hours away that day. So there was really, like, there wasn't a way, like, I wasn't going to get there on time, to be like, honest. Right? There wasn't enough time in the first day to drive all the way, and I needed to take 10 hours off at some point. So I figured if I'd gotten loaded when I got there, I would have delivered probably around noon, right? So because of the 4-hour delay, I got there, I think at like 3, just after 3 o'clock. The first guy checks me in, no big deal. And then I pull up to where I see another truck who's starting to take his tarps off. And the guy comes out and said, how are you? He's like, not very good. Said, oh, what's up? He's like, because of you. Said, what do you mean? He's like, you're 6 hours late. Sorry, man, talk to the shipper. I don't give a fuck. It's not my problem. It's all right. I don't really care, man. Like, I did what I could do, right? And he didn't swear. He said, like, it's not my problem. It's not mine either, man. Well, yeah, it is. No, it isn't. Like, I did my best to get here. I drove the maximum. He interrupts. He's like, it's not my problem. I'm just telling you. You got 10 minutes to get your shit opened up, or we're not going to unload you. Okay, give my paperwork back. He turns and walks away. Won't give my paperwork back. I'm not going to beat him up for it. He's like, if you don't get yourself open in 10 minutes, you're going to sit here until tomorrow. It's like, you fucking prick. So I get everything opened up, and I'm waiting. I'm hoping that he gives me my paperwork back so I can tell him to go suck my dick before I leave. As long as he's holding my paperwork, all he's got to do is not sign it or not give it back, and technically, legally, we won't get paid for the load, right? It's still technically then in my possession. So it was a different guy. I never saw the guy again, which really sucked, because that's like I was talking to my dad because I was fucking really heated about it. He's like, just wait till he hands you your paperwork back and tell him to go fuck himself. Give him the finger and fucking spit at the ground at him. Like, tell him, call him whatever the fuck you want. If he wants to fight, beat him up. You got your paperwork. What the fuck are they gonna do? Right? But he didn't give me, well, it wasn't him that gave my paperwork back. And again, the unloading crew was fine. Like, they unloaded me and fucking, that was it, right? But it's the guy that's scheduling, quote unquote, the loads that is really upset. So there's a lot of, like that, you know, I get that some people get frustrated when a truck is late. But again, a lot of it is because whether they know what a truck driver ends up going through and why they could possibly be late or not, again, it's a lot of times, it's not my problem. It's like, well, you know, technically now it is. I'm here late. So you can either unload me or I'm going to go take the load somewhere else and find someone else to buy it. Because right now the load's in my possession. I own it. I signed for it. It's mine. I have to come up with the money to pay for it, but I can sell it to somebody else. That's the one nice thing with what I do is it's nothing like pretty much anything I pick up, like technically I can sell it to somebody else. Right? Once I've signed it, I own it. If I pick up a load of steel and I say, oh, fuck the customer, I'm gonna go I got a buddy that wants to buy steel, he's gonna give me good money for it. I can technically do it as long as I can pay the shipper for the steel. You know, I can do whatever I want. Now again, that is a terrible fucking idea because every fucking client out there would immediately stop using us. But technically by law, I said when I signed the bill of lading for that product, I own the product. Right? So, you know, and again, I still have to come up with money, including my own fucking freight fee, but that is, you know, effectively how it works. So, and you know, drywall, like I could go to Home Depot and fucking sell it for the same price. Like, you know, at the time I didn't know that. Like, it was only after all that happened that I started, like, I talked to my old man and I talked to my boss. That's when he said, yeah, no, if they give you grief, tell them to fuck off. And you'll fucking leave. What are they gonna do? Maybe they shouldn't give you a fucking attitude when you busted your ass to get there. Right? And again, that's the problem, right? It's a lot of when you're trucking, you bust your ass to get somewhere and then you get there and they're fucking mad. And it's like, man, you know, I just worked really hard to get here. Like the last load of bricks I delivered, I gotta pull into this love fuel. You know, I started my day at 4 in the morning and drove all day. I get there, and the guy's like, dude, you're way too late, man. We close in a half hour. Right? And they unloaded me, but it's the same thing. The guy's kind of giving me shit, and it's like, bro, like, he's like, you know, we got guys who have been here since 8 o'clock this morning. They want to go home. It's like, look here, motherfucker. I started my day at 4 a.m. I've been working since 4 a.m. I got another 2 hours of driving to do after this. Like, you don't have to unload me today. Like, you say, like, sorry, man, we're going home. Like, you know, we'll have to get you in the morning. That's fine. But don't give me the, my guys got to go home. They've been working hard lecture, right? Or they've been up since X time lecture. Like, look here, motherfucker. I've been working longer. Well, this better be a fucking truck stop, too, or I'm going to fucking myself. Oh, yeah, no, I know where I am. I've been to this one plenty of times. And again, 90% of guys are good, right? Like, when I hauled tanker, people were a lot nicer. Because most of the time you were dealing with, like, lab technicians and stuff rather than, like, loading dock and warehousing guys. Most of the steel mills are fucking great. Again, because usually, like, the same thing, right? The steel pays well, and they're the guys that, it don't fucking matter, it's just gonna go sit over there in our fucking storage rack anyways, right? It's usually, again, the little lower paying stuff, like bricks or fucking, again, drywall and fucking shit like that, stone masonry work and stuff that guys get, like, a little bit shitty, and it's like, look here, motherfucker, your load don't pay enough for me to even really be that concerned with getting it here on time.
Turn right.
Then I got it here on time for you, or, you know, as quick as I could, but, you know, this is the way it went. This is the rules, or, you know, this is, I had to abide by these laws, like, this is it. Okay, there's a couple minutes over there. For some reason, I always remember this truck stop. You pull in and make a right and go to the fuel instead of looping around and basically getting fuel pointed back out. But, oh well, I think I can do it from here. But yeah, like I said, and again, it is what it is. Like, some people are going to be pieces of shit no matter what. Some people, like I said, they've got the mindset, like, they can treat you like crap and get away with it. And it's eventually just, either you get humor in fucking watching them get fucking uppity, or you know, what the fuck is this guy doing? Why are all the fucking fuel lanes closed? guess I gotta line up behind one of these guys. It's gonna really suck if I pulled into this love. There's no fucking fuel here. This guy's not fueling, that guy's not fueling. Yeah, none of them are fueling. Fuck. All of those fucking fuel stops are closed. I guess we'll find out. Alright, well, I'm gonna end this here because I gotta get fuel. So, it's another big long fucking video. So, happy trails.